Kai Draven had always thought that life was a carefully measured path, like the straight lines of a starship corridor or the neat grids of the colony cities. Humans had spread across dozens of systems, establishing settlements on planets with varying gravity, climates, and skies, yet everywhere the rules were the same. The most important rule he had always been told was the companion assignment. At 25, every human received their designated mate through a sophisticated selection process. Genetic compatibility, emotional stability, shared interests. It all mattered. Families celebrated the news of a companion as a mark of security and success. Kai had imagined that when his turn came, he would meet someone kind, gentle, familiar, someone human. He had not imagined Lysara. The chamber was enormous, circular, and white, with a soft hum running through the floor that resonated under his feet. Holographic screens floated above, projecting data streams about candidates across the galaxy. Kai stepped up to the interface nervously. He watched as the swirling algorithm of potential matches slowed, focusing on him, scanning, analyzing. The lights dimmed and suddenly the room changed. In a shimmer of gold and violet light she appeared. She was not human, not remotely. Her skin glowed faintly, covered in thin, iridescent scales that reflected every color in the room. Her eyes were large, almond-shaped, and molten amber, with a glint that suggested both intelligence and mischief. Her hair, if it could be called hair, flowed like a silken ribbon of shifting color, moving even when there was no wind. Lysara's lips curved into a grin that was daring and wild. "Greetings, human," she said, her voice soft but carrying an undercurrent of authority, curiosity, and amusement all at once. "I am Lysara of the Velari throne." Kai's jaw went slack. He had vaguely heard of the Velari in history lessons, a mysterious, fiercely independent species from the Andari expanse, rarely seen, often whispered about as unpredictable, cunning, and unyielding. And now, one of them was his companion. The chamber fell silent. Around him, other humans smiled at their expected mates, normal, ordinary, predictable. They whispered, their voices low and contented. Kai could not move his gaze from Lysara. She stepped closer, graceful, almost feline. "Do not be frightened," she said with a hint of teasing in her tone. "You are mine, or I am yours, or at least the galaxy insists we try." Kai shook his head. I don't understand. I was supposed to get someone normal." "Normal?" Lysara laughed, the sound musical echoing slightly in the chamber. "Oh, little human, normal is so boring. I am far from normal. You will see that soon enough." An elder from the selection committee cleared his throat nervously. "This pairing is highly unusual." "Extremely irregular. The algorithm failed," Lysara interrupted, raising a delicate eyebrow. "Perhaps, or perhaps it decided that the universe needed more excitement." Kai could feel the energy in the room shift. His hands trembled slightly, but curiosity rose stronger than fear. He had been ordinary his whole life, an average student, an average pilot trainee, living in an average apartment on an average colony world. Yet now he faced someone extraordinary. Someone from a culture he barely understood, whose very presence challenged everything he had been taught. I don't know what to say," he admitted, finally finding his voice. "Say nothing," Lysara replied, tilting her head. Her amber eyes studied him closely, as if reading the story of his life in a single glance. "Actions speak louder than words, and believe me, little human, you will need to act." The holographic screens flickered. Data warnings scrolled across them in red and yellow. High risk. Emotional instability possible. Compatibility unknown. Proceed with caution. The committee murmured nervously. Kai could feel their eyes on him. "What happens now?" he asked, trying to keep his voice steady. Lysara extended one hand. "Now we start our journey together. The galaxy will try to contain me, control me, even fear me. You will learn to survive with me, or you will struggle alone." Kai glanced down at her hand. It glowed faintly, warm, pulsing with life unlike anything he had ever felt. Tentatively, he reached out. Their fingers touched and a spark shot through him, electric, thrilling, terrifying. "Interesting," Lysara said softly, her grin widening. "You have fire, not much, but enough. That will be useful." Kai swallowed. "Fire, me? I'm just ordinary." Yet for the first time in his life, he felt awake, alive in a way that no simulation or training exercise had ever made him feel. "Very well," he said finally. I'll try. Whatever this is, I'll try." Lysara's eyes glimmered. "Good, that is all I ask for now." As the chamber doors closed behind them, Kai noticed the subtle hum in the walls shift. He realized that this pairing was more than just a selection error. Something about the galaxy itself had orchestrated this. Someone or something wanted humans and Velari to meet, and for reasons he could not yet comprehend. For the next few hours, Lysara explained little about herself, and even less about her world. The Velari had a culture of freedom, adventure, and survival of the cleverest. Their leaders, such as her, were trained in strategy, diplomacy, and combat from a young age. They respected strength, ingenuity, and courage. Kai, in contrast, had been trained to obey protocols, follow instructions, and avoid conflict whenever possible. "I see your hesitation," Lysara said, watching him fidget with his sleeves. "You are predictable, but predictable humans can surprise me sometimes." Kai forced a nervous laugh. "I doubt I'll surprise anyone, I'm just me." "You are human," she countered. "That alone guarantees you will surprise. Do not underestimate your kind. They adapt. They endure far beyond what the galaxy expects." Her words struck him more than he expected. Humans had always been seen as ordinary, weak, sometimes even irrelevant by advanced alien civilizations. Yet here she was, acknowledging the very thing that Kai had often felt in the back of his mind, a quiet, persistent resilience in himself, in his species. The hours passed, and the selection committee left them alone to begin their compatibility bonding exercise, a vague ritual involving both cooperation and survival challenges. Kai had no idea what to expect. Lysara merely smiled, sharp teeth gleaming as she surveyed the chamber. "This will be interesting," she said. "I hope you are ready, little human, because once we leave here, the galaxy will test us, and I do not do well with boring companions." Kai took a deep breath. "I guess I have no choice." She leaned closer, her face almost level with his. "Oh, you have a choice. You always have a choice. You can panic, you can run, you can fail. But if you stay with me, if you truly commit, the universe might just be forced to notice you." Kai felt the weight of her gaze, and for the first time he realized that his life, once straight, predictable, and unremarkable, was about to twist in directions he could never imagine. Outside, the colony's twin suns dipped below the horizon, casting a brilliant gold and crimson glow over the city. Kai had spent countless nights staring at sunsets, imagining an ordinary future, a steady job, a quiet apartment, maybe a small family. That future had evaporated with a single holographic projection and a pair of molten amber eyes. He realized something else as he followed Lysara out of the chamber. Ordinary was no longer an option. Not with her, not with the galaxy watching. Not with the challenges that awaited beyond the walls of the colony. For all his fear, he felt a spark of excitement. He did not yet understand her world, her species, or the dangerous roads ahead, but he knew one thing with absolute certainty. Being paired with a wild alien princess was the beginning of something that would redefine him, test him, and push him far beyond the boundaries of his ordinary life. And somewhere deep in his chest, Kai knew he was ready to try. Lysara's grin widened, sensing his resolve. "Excellent, then let the adventure begin." As they stepped toward the shuttle waiting to take them to the Velari territory, Kai could not shake the feeling that the galaxy itself had chosen this moment, this pairing, for reasons he could not yet understand. Something bigger than himself, bigger than humanity, was at play, and somehow he and Lysara were at its center. The shuttle engines roared and the stars blurred into streaks of light. Kai closed his eyes for a moment, letting the thrill wash over him. Whatever lay ahead, danger, intrigue, battles, or discoveries, he would face it with her. He had no other choice, and in truth, he did not want any other. Lysara looked at him with that sharp, amused gaze. "Hold on tight, little human. The galaxy isn't kind, and neither am I. But you might just survive." Kai swallowed, nodded, and for the first time in his life felt genuinely alive. The shuttle shook violently as it entered the upper atmosphere of Velari Prime. Kai Draven gripped the seat handles, feeling the vibrations through his fingers. Beside him, Lysara remained calm, almost reveling in the turbulence. Her amber eyes sparkled with a mixture of amusement and challenge, as if the ride itself was a test. "You humans," she said casually, her voice cutting through the hum of the engines, "are far too predictable. Always worried about safety, always imagining the worst. It is adorable." Kai exhaled sharply, trying to steady himself. "I'm trying to survive a shuttle ride, not a compliment." Lysara leaned closer, tilting her head. "Ah, but your fear is part of what makes you interesting. I like it when companions are aware of the danger but still choose to move forward." He shot her a side glance. Interesting, huh? Yes, she said simply, eyes glinting. You are alive in ways most humans are not. You feel, you hesitate, yet you still act. That is strength. That is unusual. Kai wanted to argue, but he knew she was right. He had always considered himself ordinary, weak even, compared to the stories he had read about brave explorers, cunning diplomats, and legendary soldiers. Yet here he was, gripping the shuttle handles, alive, aware, and facing a creature from a world he barely understood. Somehow that mattered. The shuttle descended through a thick, purple-hued atmosphere, and the view outside stunned him. Velari Prime was a planet of contrasts. Jagged mountains with luminous veins of crystal, rivers that glowed faintly in the dim light, forests of towering, twisted trees with leaves shimmering in strange colors. Massive structures floated above the cities, defying gravity in elegant patterns. The Velari had clearly mastered both technology and aesthetics in ways humans could barely comprehend. They call this beauty, Lysara said softly, almost reverently, as if she were describing her own soul, but it is also a battlefield. Every crystal, every river, every floating tower has been defended, fought over, and conquered by my people. Strength is survival here. Strength is life, Kai swallowed. He had always imagined planets as either empty colonies or dangerous wilds. He had never imagined one so alive, so intentionally dangerous, so breathtakingly alien. The shuttle landed on a crystalline platform above the capital city. As the doors opened, a gust of warm, fragrant air washed over them. Kai stepped out carefully, his human instincts taking note of the faint tremors beneath his feet. Lysara moved with effortless grace, seemingly unaffected by the unusual gravity, her tail flicking in amusement at his hesitation. "Welcome to Velari Prime," she said. "I hope you are ready for the real lessons." Kai raised an eyebrow. "Lessons?" Lysara grinned. "Yes. Survival, adaptation, strategy, courage, things your colony never bothered to teach you. And believe me, you will need all of them if you are to remain useful or alive." The city around them was bustling, yet different from human colonies. The Velari themselves were everywhere. Tall, lithe figures with scales reflecting every color of the rainbow, wings folded elegantly behind them, weapons slung casually yet confidently at their sides. Kai felt eyes on him, curious, cautious, measuring his worth. "They are watching me?" he asked, uneasy. "They always watch newcomers," Lysara said. "Especially human ones. You are not from here, and that alone is suspicious. But do not worry, your value will become apparent soon enough. Humans have a way of surprising even the most experienced Velari." Kai's stomach tightened. He had always heard humans were underestimated in the galaxy, considered clever but physically weak, emotionally unpredictable but capable of endurance. Yet standing here in this alien city, surrounded by creatures bred for perfection in every way, he realized he had never truly understood what he was capable of. "First lesson," Lysara said, moving ahead with a brisk step, "is to adapt quickly. Follow me." They entered a vast training arena. The walls were made of shimmering crystal, and the floor seemed alive, subtly shifting beneath their feet. Holographic projections appeared, creating simulated adversaries, Velari warriors in various poses, weapons at the ready. Kai froze. "What is this?" "Practice," Lysara said. "But not just practice, adaptation test. Humans are slow to react, yes. Let's see if you can surprise me and survive." He took a deep breath. His training as a pilot, his minor combat drills, and every small lesson from his colony life suddenly seemed inadequate. The holographic Velari warriors moved swiftly, attacking from every angle. Kai ducked, rolled, and stumbled, barely avoiding a strike that would have knocked him flat. Lysara moved beside him, almost like a shadow, her every movement fluid, precise, lethal. "Use your mind, human," she advised. "Do not rely on strength alone. That is your advantage." Predictable creatures fail when they rely on instinct only. Humans think, calculate, improvise, use that. Kai tried. He observed the holograms, calculated their patterns, and slowly began to anticipate their attacks. He dodged, countered, and even managed to disarm one simulation entirely. Lysara watched, impressed, though she hid it behind her teasing grin. "Not bad," she said finally. "You are persistent. Humans endure longer than expected." Kai felt a rush of pride. For the first time, he realized that despite his ordinary life, he had something unique. Humans adapted. They endured. They improvised. While the Velari were bred and trained for perfection, he had flexibility, creativity, and determination. The training continued for hours. Kai fell, got back up, stumbled, and learned. Lysara taught him to read movement, to anticipate attacks, to use the environment to his advantage. And slowly he began to understand. Survival was not just about strength. It was about heart, mind, and spirit, things humans had in abundance. By the time the sun, or whatever passed for one in Valeri Prime, began to set, Kai was exhausted but alive, and Lysara's expression softened slightly. "You are improving," she said, a hint of pride in her tone. "Not fast enough to impress Valeri elders, but fast enough to survive with me, and that human is what matters." Kai nodded, sweat dripping down his face, muscles aching. "So, this is what being a companion is about?" "No," Lysara said, her amber eyes glinting in the twilight. "This is what surviving with me is about. Companions are rare, but survival is universal. You will learn that soon enough. And," she added with a teasing flick of her tail, "it is far more enjoyable when you do not give up." The night fell, and the city glowed in 100 strange colors. Kai watched in awe as Valeri buildings emitted light from within, rivers glimmered in unnatural shades, and creatures of every imaginable shape and color moved with purpose through the streets. Lysara led him to a high balcony overlooking the city. "Look at them," she said softly. "Every being here has a story of endurance, conquest, or rebellion. They thrive because they adapt, because they survive. Humans are underestimated, yes, but I see potential, I see fire." Kai swallowed. Fire. That word again. It made him both nervous and determined. For the first time, he realized that his pairing with Lysara was not a mistake. It was an opportunity, a test of human ingenuity and spirit against a universe that often underestimated them. "Tomorrow," Lysara continued, "you will see the political side of Valeri Prime. You will see challenges that cannot be solved by strength alone. You will need strategy, courage, and patience. Do you think you are ready?" Kai hesitated. I think so. I hope so." She smiled, sharp teeth glinting. "Hope is the first step, human. Action is the second. Do not forget that." That night, Kai slept fitfully. He dreamt of the crystalline city, of the rivers of light, of the fierce warriors of Valeri Prime. But most of all, he dreamt of Lysara, wild, unpredictable, commanding, yet somehow guiding him. He felt fear, yes, but also excitement, determination, and a spark of pride he had never known. Humans were not perfect. They were not the fastest, the strongest, or the most advanced. But they endured, they adapted, they faced impossible odds and time and again found a way to survive. And Kai realized something crucial. This was the very thing that would allow him to face the challenges ahead with Lysara by his side. By morning, Kai felt different. He was still human, still ordinary in many ways, but something within him had shifted. He was ready, or as ready as he could be, to take the next steps in this adventure. Lysara greeted him at dawn, stretching gracefully, wings flexing slightly. "Today," she said, "we enter the real world of Valeri Prime. Politics, alliances, rivalries. You will see why the galaxy fears my people. And you will see why humans, your kind, are never to be underestimated." Kai followed her down the crystalline stairs, heart racing. He knew this was just the beginning. The universe was vast, the challenges immense, and yet something inside him burned brighter than ever. He was human. He was alive, and for the first time he truly understood the power of his species. With Lysara at his side, Kai Draven was ready to face whatever the galaxy would throw at them. The streets of Valeri Prime were alive with a pulse Kai had never experienced. Towering crystal spires reflected the multicolored light of the rivers and skies, while Valeri citizens moved with fluid precision, their scales glinting in shades of silver, gold, and violet. Despite their beauty, there was an unmistakable edge to the city. The constant hum of energy shields, the subtle flashing of security drones, the disciplined but tense movements of the guards. Kai realized quickly that this planet was as dangerous as it was mesmerizing. Lysara led him through the bustling streets, her amber eyes scanning the crowd constantly. "Watch carefully," she instructed. "Valeri Prime is not a place for the careless. Every glance, every word, every gesture matters. You will need to read the intentions of every being around you, or the consequences will be unpleasant." Kai swallowed, trying to take it all in. His mind raced as he noticed subtle signs. A flicker of a wing signaling alert, a tail brushing lightly against a passerby in warning, scales that shifted color to indicate emotion. The Valeri communicated as much through body language as they did through speech, and Kai realized he would have to learn quickly. Their destination was the council hall, a colossal structure of translucent crystal that floated above the city on invisible supports. Velari citizens approached it with reverence, bowing slightly or pausing in respectful acknowledgement. Humans rarely visited this place, and Kai could feel the weight of curiosity and scrutiny on him with every step. Inside, the council chamber was vast, with a high ceiling that seemed to stretch into infinity. Holographic maps of the planet and its surrounding systems floated above the central dais, displaying trade routes, defense zones, and territorial boundaries. Lysara guided Kai to a platform near the center, and he noticed other council members, elegant Velari, each radiating authority and poise. "Be polite," Lysara whispered. "Do not fumble, do not look weak. Humans are underestimated, yes, but weakness is a target. Show them respect, but show them strength." Kai nodded, heart pounding. This was more than ceremony. This was a test of observation, endurance, and diplomacy. He had survived shuttle turbulence and combat simulations, but this was entirely new. The council convened in silence. Lysara spoke first, her voice ringing with command. "Esteemed council members, I present my companion, a human from the Draven colony. His presence is unusual, yes, but I assure you he is capable." The chamber erupted with quiet murmurs. Some Velari tilted their heads, evaluating Kai. Others narrowed their eyes, clearly skeptical. One elder, tall with silver scales and piercing eyes, stepped forward. "You risk politics by introducing a human, princess. Their kind is unpredictable, untrained in our customs, untested." Kai felt his palms sweat, but he remembered Lysara's words. Humans endure, humans adapt, humans survive. He straightened his back, lifted his chin, and met the elder's gaze without hesitation. "I may be human," he said slowly, choosing his words carefully, "but I am willing to learn, to adapt, and to act when required. I am here to survive and to ensure the success of my companion's mission. That is my purpose." A faint murmur spread across the chamber. The elder studied him for a long moment, then nodded slightly. "Interesting. Perhaps there is more to humans than we assume." Lysara's amber eyes glinted with approval. "See," she whispered, "you are already surprising them." Kai allowed himself a brief surge of pride, but it was short-lived. The council was not finished with him. "Very well," the elder continued. "Since you are here, you will participate in the assessment. There is unrest in the northern sector, pirates, insurgents, and rogue Velari who defy the council. If you are to prove your worth, you will accompany Princess Lysara to negotiate, or if necessary, confront these threats. Are you prepared, human?" Kai hesitated only for a heartbeat before nodding. "Yes, I am ready." The council murmured again, some skeptical, some curious, some intrigued. Lysara's hand brushed lightly against his arm. "Courage, little human," she said softly. "The real test begins now." The journey to the northern sector was tense. Velari transport cruisers streaked through the skies, escorting them past the glowing rivers and crystalline forests. Kai observed the world beneath him, fascinated and slightly terrified. He had seen human cities, colonial settlements, and training simulations, but nothing like this. Every element was alive, every being alert, every detail important. When they landed near the northern sector, the atmosphere was noticeably harsher. Winds carried a faint metallic scent, and the terrain was rugged, jagged with crystalline outcrops. Kai could feel the tension in the air. Danger was close. Lysara led the way confidently, her movements fluid and alert. "Pirates and rogue Velari know we are coming," she explained. "They may try to attack, or they may try to negotiate. Either way, we must be ready for anything." As they approached a small encampment hidden among crystalline spires, shadows shifted unnaturally. Figures emerged from behind the rocks, Velari with worn scales, human-like weapons, and expressions full of defiance. Their leader, a tall Velari with jagged silver scales and a scar running across one eye, stepped forward. "Princess Lysara," he said, bowing slightly, "you dare enter our territory? You bring a human? Are you foolish or insane?" Kai tensed, expecting Lysara to handle the confrontation. But instead, she looked at him and said, "Show them your worth, human. Speak, act, survive." Kai's heart raced. He had never negotiated with anyone before, let alone armed rogue Velari. But he remembered what Lysara had taught him. Humans endure, humans adapt, humans survive. He stepped forward, voice steady despite his fear. "I am human," he said, And yes, I am inexperienced in your ways, but I am here with Princess Lysara to offer a solution. Violence is easy. Survival through negotiation requires courage, strategy, and endurance. Let us find a way to avoid unnecessary bloodshed. The rogue Velari leader narrowed his eye, clearly assessing Kai. For a moment, silence hung in the air, thick and tense. Then, unexpectedly, the leader smirked. Interesting, you have spirit. Perhaps humans are not as weak as we thought. Kai felt a spark of confidence. He continued, explaining their plan. Joint patrols, shared resources, and recognition of local authority. Steps that would maintain peace while respecting the autonomy of the northern sector. He relied on logic, persuasion, and a calm tone, blending human adaptability with Lysara's strategic guidance. The negotiation was tense, lasting hours. Kai stumbled, corrected himself, adapted, and learned on the fly. Lysara observed silently, occasionally nudging him toward a better argument or subtle gesture. By the end, the rogue Velari leader extended a clawed hand in agreement. "You are human," he said, his tone begrudging but respectful. "And yet, you endure, you adapt, you survive. The northern sector will cooperate for now." Kai exhaled, a weight lifting from his shoulders. He had done it. Against creatures stronger, faster, and more experienced than him, he had survived, adapted, and negotiated success. Lysara's eyes shone with approval, and for the first time, Kai felt he truly belonged at her side. As they returned to the council, Lysara leaned close. "You see, little human, humans are underestimated for a reason. But we endure, adapt, and survive in ways even the strongest creatures cannot predict. Today, you proved it." Kai smiled, exhausted but exhilarated. "I never thought I could do something like that." "You did," Lysara said simply, "and tomorrow there will be greater challenges. The galaxy is vast, unpredictable, and full of danger. But you are learning what it means to be human, and that little human is power." That night, as they rested in the crystalline chambers of the capital city, Kai reflected on the day. Humans were not perfect, but they had resilience, ingenuity, and determination. He realized that these qualities, often overlooked by other species, were precisely what made them formidable. Lysara lay beside him, her presence both comforting and electrifying. "The galaxy is dangerous," she said softly, "but with humans at our side, survival is always possible. You understand that now, do you not?" Kai nodded. "Yes, and I want to keep learning, I want to keep surviving with you." Her amber eyes softened for the first time, glimmering with something like respect. "Good. Then we move forward together, and the universe will have no idea what is coming." Kai closed his eyes, heart pounding with anticipation. He had survived shuttle turbulence, alien training, and a tense negotiation against rogue Velari. He had learned that humans could endure, adapt, and overcome in ways the galaxy often overlooked. And now, with Lysara at his side, he felt ready to face anything, even if the next challenge could cost them everything. Outside, Velari Prime's skies shimmered with 1,000 colors, each one a reminder of the beauty, danger, and opportunity in the universe. Kai knew that he was no longer the ordinary human who had walked into the selection chamber weeks ago. He was a companion, a survivor, a human capable of astounding endurance. And as Lysara slept, tail curled protectively around him, Kai understood something profound. Humans were never truly ordinary. They endured, they adapted, they survived. And against all odds, sometimes, that was more powerful than any weapon or alien advantage in the galaxy. The twin suns of Velari Prime rose over the jagged horizon, casting long, shifting shadows across the crystalline towers and rivers that glimmered like molten light. Kai Draven felt a surge of anticipation and dread as he prepared for the mission ahead. This was no simple negotiation or training exercise. Intelligence reports had confirmed that a rogue faction of Velari, far more dangerous than the northern insurgents, had seized a critical energy nexus. The nexus controlled power to several cities, and if it fell into the wrong hands, chaos would sweep across the planet. Kai glanced at Lysara, who stood nearby, her amber eyes scanning the horizon with lethal precision. Her scales caught the sunlight, glinting with sharp edges that reminded him once again that she was no ordinary companion. "Are you ready, little human?" she asked, voice calm yet filled with tension. Kai swallowed hard. "As ready as I'll ever be." Lysara tilted her head, studying him carefully. "You've come far. From a timid, ordinary human to someone who can think, adapt, and survive under pressure. Today will test everything you've learned." The transport cruiser roared to life, lifting off from the capital's crystalline platform. Kai watched the city shrink beneath them, a kaleidoscope of color and movement. He could feel the weight of responsibility pressing on his shoulders. The rogue faction was known for brutality and cunning. This was no simple confrontation. He would have to rely on everything Lysara had taught him, everything he had learned about human ingenuity, endurance, and resilience. The cruiser descended near the energy nexus, a massive structure embedded in the jagged cliffs of a canyon. The nexus glowed faintly, pulsing with raw energy that could light entire cities, or destroy them if mishandled. Guards and drones patrolled the perimeter, but Kai quickly noticed irregularities, gaps in the security pattern, signs of recent sabotage, and subtle tracks indicating stealth approaches. "This is worse than I imagined," he muttered under his breath. Lysara smirked as if she had expected him to say that. "Good, fear keeps you alert. Remember, human survival is not about bravery alone. It is about awareness, adaptation, and quick thinking. Observe, plan, act." Kai nodded, letting his instincts take over. He studied the perimeter, memorized patrol patterns, and identified weak points. Lysara moved beside him, silent and fluid, ready to strike if necessary. Together, they were a strange but complementary pair, human adaptability and alien precision. As they approached the nexus, alarms blared. The rogue faction had detected them. Velari warriors surged from hidden passages, their scales glinting, weapons at the ready. Kai's heart raced, but he did not falter. He remembered the northern sector negotiation, the lessons from the training arena, and the shuttle turbulence. Humans endured, humans adapted, humans survived. He shouted to Lysara, "Cover the right flank, I'll take the left." She grinned, teeth flashing. "Excellent. Let's see what humans can really do." Kai darted toward the left flank, using the jagged terrain as cover. The rogue Velari were faster and stronger, but he relied on clever misdirection, improvising with debris, shadows, and sudden movements to avoid their strikes. One warrior lunged at him, claws extended. Kai ducked and rolled, grabbing a piece of crystalline rubble and using it to trip the attacker. The Velari fell, momentarily stunned, giving him time to move forward. Meanwhile, Lysara was a whirlwind of motion on the right flank, her movements precise, powerful, and deadly. She neutralized threats with minimal effort, yet Kai could see the strain in her eyes. She was pushing herself to protect him and the mission simultaneously. The Nexus's core room was in sight, guarded by the rogue faction's leader, a massive Velari with dark scales and an aura of authority that radiated menace. He held a weapon capable of emitting energy pulses that could destabilize the Nexus. Kai felt a chill run down his spine, but he reminded himself of one thing: humans endure, humans adapt, humans survive. "Lysara," he called softly, "we need a plan. He's too strong for a head-on attack." She nodded, amber eyes sharp. "I have an idea. You distract him, human." "I'll disable his weapon and secure the Nexus. Timing is everything." Kai's pulse quickened. "Me, distract him?" "Precisely. Humans are underestimated. Use it to your advantage." Kai swallowed and stepped into view, raising his hands in a non-threatening manner. "Stop. You don't want to do this," he shouted. His voice echoed through the canyon, firm and commanding despite his fear. The rogue leader laughed, a low, cruel sound. "A human dares challenge me? Pathetic. Step aside, princess, or I will destroy this human and the Nexus with him." Kai clenched his fists. He knew he had seconds to act. He ducked behind a rock, then used the reflective crystal surface to create a blinding glare, temporarily disorienting the rogue Velari. The leader roared in frustration, adjusting his stance. Kai darted from cover to cover, baiting him, drawing him away from the core. Lysara moved in silently, her speed and precision unmatched. She disabled the energy weapon with a swift strike, rerouting the core's power to safe channels. Sparks flew, but the Nexus remained stable. The rogue leader turned, fury blazing. "You will pay for this." Kai took a deep breath, remembering the lessons Lysara had drilled into him: assess, improvise, act. He noticed a loose panel in the canyon wall, large enough to hide in but also positioned to create a trap. He lured the rogue leader toward it, ducking just in time as the Velari lunged. With a well-aimed shove, Kai sent the leader crashing into the panel, triggering a controlled collapse that pinned him temporarily. Lysara appeared beside him, nodding. "Well done, little human. You adapted, you acted, and you survived. That is human ingenuity." Kai felt a surge of pride, but knew the fight was not yet over. The rogue faction's warriors were regrouping, and the Nexus still needed protection. Using the combination of Lysara's combat prowess and his human creativity, they moved systematically, disarming, distracting, and disabling threats without unnecessary violence. Every move Kai made drew on his ability to think on his feet, anticipate enemy actions, and adapt to rapidly changing situations. By the time the Council's reinforcements arrived, the rogue faction had been neutralized and the Nexus secured. The leader was captured and the energy flow stabilized. Kai and Lysara stood together, overlooking the canyon, battered but victorious. Kai exhaled, exhaustion and exhilaration flooding through him. "We did it," he said, disbelief and pride in his voice. Lysara's amber eyes softened, reflecting the colors of the canyon. "Yes, human, today you survived not because you were stronger, faster, or more powerful. You survived because you endured, adapted, and acted with courage. That is the true strength of your kind." Kai realized then that the lessons he had learned, the shuttle turbulence, the training arena, the northern sector negotiation, had all led to this moment. Humans were underestimated because their strengths were not obvious: creativity, endurance, and adaptability. Yet in moments that demanded survival, these qualities became the deciding factors. As the suns set over Velari Prime, Kai felt a profound change within himself. He was no longer the ordinary human who had walked into the selection chamber weeks ago. He was a survivor, a thinker, and a companion worthy of standing beside a Velari princess. Lysara turned to him, a rare smile on her face. "You see now, little human? Humans are extraordinary in ways the galaxy rarely expects. You endured, adapted, and survived. That is the power of your kind." Kai smiled, exhaustion and pride mingling. "I think I understand now. Humans, we are more than we appear, and with the right guidance we can do incredible things." "Exactly," Lysara said, her voice soft but filled with conviction. "And together we are unstoppable." As they returned to the capital city, escorted by council reinforcements, the citizens of Velari Prime whispered among themselves. A human had survived a challenge that tested every skill, every instinct, and every ounce of courage. Lysara's choice had been unconventional, dangerous even, but the results were undeniable. Humans were not to be underestimated. Kai looked at Lysara, gratitude and admiration swelling within him. "Thank you for believing in me," he said quietly. Lysara's amber eyes softened. "No, little human, you believed in yourself. I merely helped you see what was already there. That is the essence of humans: resilience, ingenuity, and the courage to endure. Never forget it." That night, as the twin moons rose over Velari Prime, Kai lay in the crystalline chambers, reflecting on the journey. He had faced danger, uncertainty, and chaos, yet he had survived and thrived. Humans were underestimated, yes, but their ability to endure, adapt, and act in the face of overwhelming odds made them formidable. Lysara slept beside him, her presence a constant reminder that extraordinary beings could exist in all forms. Kai realized that their pairing had been more than a selection anomaly. It had been a test, a partnership designed by fate, or the galaxy itself, to show that humanity could rise to challenges no one expected them to overcome. Kai closed his eyes, heart full of determination. He knew that countless challenges awaited him, Lysara and humanity across the galaxy. But he also knew this: humans endured, humans adapted, and humans survived. And with that knowledge, no obstacle was insurmountable. As dawn broke, the twin suns casting golden light over the city, Kai Draven, the human companion to a wild alien princess, felt truly alive. He had faced impossible odds, survived, and proved the value of human ingenuity and courage. And for the first time, he knew that being ordinary had never been his destiny. Together, Kai and Lysara would face the galaxy, not as predator and prey, not as teacher and student, but as partners. A human and a Velari princess, proving that even the most underestimated species could rise, endure, and triumph in the vast, unpredictable expanse of the universe. And in that moment, Kai realized, humanity, in all its unassuming resilience, could shine brighter than any star.